Knowing what you know about the president and his negotiating tactics, is this posturing or not?
Well, I think what's puzzling people a bit is not that a tough message was sent as the Chinese delegation was on the way, but that it was done so publicly and with such a public threat. You could argue, and I think markets could feel this way, that it kind of hamstrings the Chinese delegation into actually giving the deal that President Trump wants. In other words, had the U.S. Negotiator Lighthizer come and said, listen, the president's upset, we don't get this or that, we might walk away. That's a tough message. When you do it publicly like that in a threatening way, you can start raising these issues of whether now you put China in a position where they actually can't give what you want this week, because they may not be a democracy, but they still care a lot about not looking like they're being weak and cowering and threatened by the United States. And I think any of us who've dealt with China understand that mentality still holds there.
I think, Gene, the difference now is what we've learned is that our economy, the U.S., despite a lot of hand-wringing over tariffs and trade tensions, can absorb a lot of this and do just fine. I mean, we got a first-quarter GDP number that was better than any economist expected. Last year was very strong in anticipation of the tariffs. So how much more can we handle?
Well, look, you never want to take chances with your own economy. And, everybody should be, pleased that, we've seen some continuation of strong numbers. But, look, we all know that there was dispute even over the GDP number when it came to final demand for spending investment. So you don't want to take unnecessary chances. But I do think the point that you made was right, that I think the president may feel more emboldened by the recent numbers to think, you know what, rather than take a deal that might get me criticized by Democratic presidential candidates for not being tough enough on China, maybe the economy's doing well enough or the stock market's doing well enough that I can afford to take this risk of being tougher for a while. Look, I think people want to see the president be strong, but I think they want to see him be strong and smart and strategic. And I think what worries me, people, is when instead of looking strong and strategic, does it start looking like hot air and a bit of recklessness? And I have to question the wisdom of having such a loud and threatening public tweet, as any tweet is, at this point, whether it will serve or not serve his interests. And I guess we'll see. But you could see that it even raised issues or questions of whether the Chinese delegation would still come. It looks like they will, but I still think it puts them in a harder position to actually cut a deal. And they even raised the threat of not just going to 25% on the existing $200 billion, but now raising the tariffs on the $325 billion that's not touched. Again, these might be good threats to be saying quietly. I think the real issue is going to be whether doing it so publicly as the Chinese delegation was leaving was a smart strategic move or a blunder.